For goals in the first half, England led twice and were pegged back twice. Then they came out for the second half a different team. Final score, 4-2. Harry Kane scored twice. And against the very side that broke their hearts 8 years ago, England got their revenge. Thomas Tuchel's first World Cup match in charge. Let's get into the reaction. The instant it ended, the verdict split clean in two, a thrilling win and a worrying defence. And the defence is why the reviews bit so hard. England had reached this World Cup by winning every qualifier without conceding a single goal. The kind of record that had many tipping them as genuine contenders to end 60 years of hurt since 1966. Then they shipped 2 in 45 minutes. Goal led with this headline: Bellingham's brilliance drove the win and Kane kick-started his golden boot bid, but the dodgy defence must concern Thomas Tuchel. Yahoo called England's first half shaky. And ESPN wrote that England would have won by more, were it not for an inspired display from Croatia's goalkeeper, Dominik Livakovic. The sharpest verdict came from inside England's own camp. Assistant coach Anthony Barry ripped into a first-half performance he called complicated and confusing, after Croatia twice pegged England level. The Opta number stung just as much. England conceded as many first-half goals in this one game as they had in the first halves of their previous 21 matches combined. The player ratings told the same split story. Goalkeeper Jordan Pickford was marked down for getting a hand to Baturina's opener but not enough, and the centre-backs were caught cold by Croatia's counters. While the second-half substitutes drew the higher scores. And yet, most outlets still named the same two men as their players of the match: Kane and Bellingham, England's match winners. England won, but the reviews were half applause, half warning. The favourites' opening night drew cheers and question marks at the same time. The other headline was the records. Harry Kane. With his second goal, that header from a Declan Rice corner, Kane drew level with Gary Lineker's England record of 10 World Cup goals. And with the first, the penalty, he became the outright record holder for the most penalties scored in World Cup history, excluding shootouts, with 5. Stack on top, his brace pushed him to 81 goals in 115 caps for England, miles clear of Wayne Rooney. And made him just the second England player ever, after David Beckham, to score at 3 different World Cups. There was a quiet redemption buried in it, too. Kane's previous World Cup penalty was the 2022 quarter-final against France, the one he missed the night England went out. This time his first attempt was saved, but on the retake he buried it in the very same corner. For years on, Kane erased that ghost himself. Little wonder goal framed the brace as the launch of his golden boot bid. And it drops him straight into a race where Messi, Mbappé and Holland had already lit up the same week with goals of their own. England's greatest ever goalscorer laid down another marker on the biggest stage. And put a 4-year-old wound to rest in the same motion. For England fans, one memory framed everything. 2018. That semi-final, England led and then collapsed, losing to Croatia and falling at the final step. 8 years later, against the same opponent, England held firm and won 4-2. ESPN framed it plainly as England finally answering the ghosts of that semi-final. On the other side, you could see the end of an era. Croatia's eternal captain, Luka Modric. This was his 5th World Cup and his 199th cap. Fittingly, and painfully, it was Modric whose foul gave away Kane's penalty, and he was withdrawn in the 57th minute for Mateo Kovacic. For the 40-year-old, this is very likely his last World Cup. He is one of only a handful of outfield players over 40 at this tournament, alongside the 37-year-old Ivan Perisic. A golden generation that, by widespread expectation, is wearing the checkered shirt together for the final time. Former Croatia defender Darijo Sana put it to ESPN this way: "They just love football. Luka is an amazing guy, and so humble." The midfielder who tormented England in 2018, walking off against the same side 8 years later, read like a generation turning its final page. One side settled an 8-year-old debt, the other turned the last page of a golden generation. After the whistle, the microphone went to Thomas Tuchel. Speaking to ITV, he called the second half a good reaction, but he didn't sugarcoat the first. The opening half, he said, was complicated and nervy. England chose to play it safe, to go backwards, and never found their rhythm. Then he reached for a number. Ground duels won jumped from 33% in the first half to 73% in the second. Even off the ball, he admitted, the first half wasn't committed enough. But he loved the players' reaction after the break, and called it an emotional night. What happened at halftime came from the man who scored the goal that swung it. Bellingham said the manager told them, in effect, if we lose in our way. So the team went, in his words, full gas in the second half, and Croatia couldn't deal with it. For a player who's faced constant criticism about his impact in the big moments for England, brilliant for Real Madrid, questioned in a Three Lions shirt. That 3-2 strike right after the restart was the clearest possible answer. And he backed it up by dropping deeper to help defend once the substitutes arrived. And per opta, this was Bellingham's 16th major tournament appearance, the most by any European player in history before turning 23. The manager was honest, the young star answered with his feet. Even in a win, Tuchel knew exactly what needs fixing. So here's where it lands. England beat Croatia for 2 to open their World Cup with 3 points. Kane drew level with Lineker's record, and England paid back the 2018 semi-final against the very team that inflicted it. Tuchel opened his account with a win, an A-to-do list, after conceding twice. England sit top of Group L, with Ghana and Panama still to come. Croatia lost, but in a 48-team World Cup the best third-place teams also reached the round of 32, so this is far from over. Here's the call. England take care of Ghana and Panama and go through as group winners. Kane passes Lineker's 10 to stand alone as England's record World Cup scorer this tournament. But a defence like today's will come back to bite them the moment they meet a knockout heavyweight. An 8-year wait for payback, and a second half reborn. England's campaign is up and running, with 3 points and a warning.